be going back to Jeremiah. I've been going through a lot of. Pastor's got so much material in his office, and man, there was so much that he wanted to share. But I'm learning a lot about the plight of the prophets that God called prophets. And I'm saying it that way for a reason, but I'm not looking to get into, I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not looking for anything like that. But in the earlier centuries, that's how he communicated with his people, was through the prophets. And I got my hands on a book that talks about, it gives some, I guess, some indications of what life was like for them, the person. And, it really was, that was a tough job. That was a tough job. You know, back in the day, when people didn't like what you said, they might take your life. In fact, Jeremiah, some guys, and I'm paraphrasing, some guys, they roll up on him, like we say today. They roll up on him, and they was like, "Hey, look, man, you gotta stop coming at us with this. We got some serious smoke for you." And they came out and said, "Hey, look, we gonna do away with you." We don't spend a lot of time in the prophets, and we really should. But it's not that it's necessary that we do this, but this gives us an indication of how God saw us, what he felt as he observed our lives, how much of his instructions we were actually living by. And, we sadden him a lot. And, we're so used to hearing about, how wonderful we are. And that's true. I'm not saying we're not. But when you start reading in Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, if you got a best friend, or you got a favorite person you like to go shopping with, or you got somebody that you like experiencing life with, there are times where it's not always at that high plateau. And I'm not asking you to agree or disagree, just think about what I'm saying. But the Most High created each one of us, and he picked the avenues. Even the way we look. Now, I know nowadays we don't like something about ourselves. If you get your money together, you can go get some surgery. and get it changed. But he created you, he created us the way he wanted to create us. And we are precious to him. And because we're so precious to him, he gave us some instructions so that we can navigate through life successfully. But that's not to say that you'll never have challenges in life. All of us have challenges. And getting back to the prophets, in each situation, he was talking to Jeremiah, and he was saying earlier, because we're going to be reading out of 13, a little bit of 12, and then going into 13. And he was talking about the hairs on his head, and that he knew, he knew him really as he was looking down the line or the lineage, how he would get here. See, everything has been orchestrated. Our parents got together, however they got together, and their parents got together, however they got together, and so on and so on. And it's fascinating when you start looking at it from that perspective and stop looking at it that it's you. No. What I'm trying to convey to you is that when he was thinking of you, he picked vessels. See, most of us, we may know something about our grandparents, maybe something about our great-grandparents. But what about their grandparents and their great-grandparents? Do you understand what I'm saying? See, we are fixated on us. I'm going somewhere with this. In his love, let me stop. In trying to understand his love, sometimes when it comes to the correction part, I'm like, I'm having a hard time seeing the love. Because sometimes it's life is bitter sometimes. And as we were singing that anthem, I was like, I was looking at most of us know the first stanza. But when they start going to the next, that's when I said, I was like, wait a minute, I read this. I read some of that was in the song. I was like, that's in Jeremiah. And right now, with the way things are for a lot of people, and again, the chaos that's happening here is happening all over creation. It's just that we just happen to be here, and for a lot of people, they think, oh my goodness, all is lost, and I'm telling you, all is not lost. He's still in charge, and I don't even want to get into the stuff that's going on. But we got what we asked for. And see, we're missing it. And see, some of the things that we think, oh my God, this is awful, this is bad. Some of this stuff is good for us because we've become too entitled. Now, I'm staying with the scripture. I'm not getting into what's going on today, although it's going to sound like it. let me get into this thing with Jeremiah. I'm in Jeremiah 12, and I'm gonna start in chapter 12, verses 14 on through, and then we're gonna get into 13. Give an ear. It says, "Here is what Yah says: As for all my evil neighbors who encroach on the heritage I gave to my people Israel as their possession, I will uproot them from their own land, and I will uproot Judah from among them. As for all my evil neighbors." See, when Yah is speaking, we kind of skip over words like if, however. It's there for a reason. Now, I know, being honest again, I got a real problem with English. English has kind of the English language has done us somewhat of a disservice when it comes to the essence of what Yah is trying to convey to his people. Even in the translation. Remember, earlier in Jeremiah, he talked about lying scribes. He talked about pastors that were leading people astray, away from what he said. They changed stuff. Some of it was done in ignorance, and I'm not being negative when I use that word ignorance. Their heart was sincere in some instances, but some stuff, folks, was done deliberately. Pastor Hodge was talking about uniformity. And I said, when he's talking, I don't really like that. But I was like, no, I want them to get this. And again, this isn't something. Uniformity is part of system living. It is. And I pray one day that we wake up, particularly those that are trying to live their lives by Torah. And I'm saying it the way I'm saying it for a reason, because there's going to come a time where you're going to have to choose. You want what's the thing of society, and that includes what we call church, or do you want the things of the Most High? Let me go a little further, because see, when we don't follow his instructions, it pains him. He doesn't like, and again, I'm not saying this as if I was some authority and he said, "Barry, here, I'm going to give you the playbook. You give them I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying that through study, through research, through looking at translations, looking at commentaries. Folks, there was a guy at one time that used to say you can't lose with the stuff he used or something like that. Well, we can't lose if we do what he say and do it his way. But that's not to say you're not going to have challenges. And that's what a lot of us, we get confused when the challenges come. We think it's opposition. Sometimes we think it's the devil. And sometimes challenges are sent by the one that made it all possible. That's why, I left Job, but I really had so much more I wanted to share with Job. And I really believed that it would help people in their lives, but it was making folks a little uncomfortable. And I wasn't. Do what he say, do it his way, and we'll be better for it. And you know, see, the thing about it, his instructions are for our good. It's not just a bunch of do's and don'ts. There's a reason he say do this. It's a reason he said don't do this, refrain from this. It's look, this thing, we need a big dose of a willing heart and an obedient spirit. Give an ear. Here is what Yah says. As for all my evil neighbors who encroach on the heritage I gave to my people Israel as their possession, I will uproot them from their own land, and I will uproot Judah from among them. Then after I have uprooted them, I will take pity on them again and bring them back. So all this hell we catching, or people think they catching right now, oh my God, this person is crazy, and hey, listen. Regardless of how I feel about streaming, had somebody else won, we was going to get this. Whatever's coming down the pike, we was going to get it either way. And I hate the, we're getting what we asked for. We're getting the gods we went after. We're getting the idols that we hold in high esteem. Some of this is the result of that. Don't ever trade his instructions for what society and all its freaks come up with. It's going to turn on you. He says, I will take pity on them again and bring them back, each one to his inheritance, each one to his own land. Then, and here's a word that we stop skipping over ifs, stop skipping over howevers, stop skipping over therefores. You know, I tried to explain that time how we love to say it takes a village to raise a child. And I explained what that really was about. See, we take phrases and we take them out of context and we make them fit something, and it sounds good, it preaches well, but it's not accurate in the way it's being used. They were talking about, again, when the men had to go off to war. It was an understanding that because you went off to war and something happens to you, we're going to look after your folks. That's what that was about. Now, I'm not saying it's not nice when you do something for the neighborhood kids. I'm not saying that. Yeah, that is nice. But that statement that people love to say, it's out of context when they're using it. And this is what English does. English promotes this sort of thing. You got, well, I don't even want to get into that, but it's a lot of stuff that's being taught. And it shouldn't be taught the way it's being taught. This country is a what? A capitalistic society. And in a capitalistic society, when a business is started, it's started to make a profit. That's it, basically. It started to, you go in business to make a profit. Because when you pay your employees and your expenses and all the licensing stuff, which is another thing, profits, Profit, not Bible profits. Profits are necessary to keep the business going. But again, somebody in society, most of you all have heard of a nonprofit, haven't you? See, nonprofits can agree, and again, let me say this because I'm sure some people, particularly those that think they are high-minded, they probably, don't get angry. I'm not attacking you or your nonprofit situation. But in a capitalistic society, really a nonprofit is an oxymoron. I'm just trying to show you what English does. And there are a lot of other things that I could do, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm really still dealing with doing what he say and doing it his way. And I'm really here to encourage you because, a lot of us think all hope is lost. Oh man, this is terrible. And I'm saying, no, it's not. It's not as bad as we think. And it's definitely not as bad as it could be. And even though many will be uncomfortable, I pray that many will gain strength and resolve and realize, I got to get back to the Most High. See, sometimes that's what this kind of pressure is. It's to get you out of these little fake kingdoms you done set up for yourself. He's going to kick all that stuff down. All the people you think is some high muckety muck. He getting ready to rub some people's face and some stuff. And I have had my face rubbed in my mess, and it stinks. You don't want that. So if you're riding a high horse, you better park that filly. Because if you don't, that's a long fall. Let me get back to this. And again, he doesn't want to bring smoke, as what the young kids say. It pains him to do this, but he's going to stay true to his word. He's going to do it. He says, then if they will carefully learn my people's ways, swearing by my name, as Yah lives, just as they taught my people to swear by Baal. And there we go, system again. Man, man, them old school people, man, come on over here with all the fake muckety mucks, and we all gonna fake together. I'm telling you, a lot of folk, they so scared. See, it ain't too many people don't mind you looking behind their curtain. Most people in this country don't want you looking behind their curtain because it's a mess. It's a mess. Oh, it looks good. It looks good. A lot of us look prosperous. Stay with me, please. As Yah lives, just as they taught my people to swear by Baal, they will be built up among my people. But if they refuse to listen, then I will uproot that nation, uproot and destroy it, says Yah. It's like this. He says, Barry, listen, son, and it's still good that he's calling us son or daughter. But he's not going to keep, see, again, I keep saying some of the stuff that we're doing is not cute. We think it's cute. Our friends think it's cute. And those that's doing the dirt with you, they all think it's cute. But it's not cute to him. It pains him because he's saying, listen, I've done all of this. I've done all of this for you. Why are you ignoring my instruction? Why are you going another way? What is this strange philosophy you're giving your ears to? What thing dare exalt itself against who I am? Is what he's saying. Yah said to me, and this is Jeremiah, he says, go buy yourself a linen loincloth and wrap it around your body, but don't soften it in water. So I bought a loincloth as Yah had said and put it on. Then the word of Yah came to me a second time. Listen to this. Take the loincloth you bought and are wearing, get up, go to Parah, which is Euphrates, and hide it there in a hole in the rock. So I went and I hid it in Parah, which is Euphrates, as Yah had ordered me. See, a lot of times he's giving us instructions, but do we carry out his instructions, or do we do it when we get ready to do it? Now, most of us will say, no, Bev, God speak to me. I'm moving them. No, well, sometimes God speak to you. It's your parents. They may have asked you to do something. Or it's somebody that you got a real friend. I'm not talking about those computer type friends. A real friend. Somebody that you know your word means something and their word means something to you. That type of friend. A quality person. Somebody that you would inconvenience yourself for. Somebody that would understand, well, I had a polo match at 3, but I'll cancel it for you. See, some people ain't going to cancel their polo match. But yet, they want to say, I'm your friend. Well, you may be, but I'm going to take you out the real friend category, and you're going to be in the fair weather friend. And nothing wrong with fair weather friends. You got them on your job. Not knocking good co-workers. Some people make it a pleasure because you know if so-and-so going to be there at work, I can make it another day. Just like some people, you go to work, and man, when you see them, your attitude just goes, because they're either discontent, they're complaining about something, they're not doing their work. And then when the company go out or the business go under, they do the most complaining. Not realizing you contributed to this. And see, folks, it's the same way when we halfway follow his instructions and we do it when we get ready to do it, or we do it the way we want to do it. I like the sound of this better. I've outgrown that. Man, sit your... That brings tears to his eyes. When we're arrogant like that, when we trade him for some goofball philosophy, it breaks his heart, so to speak. And he's not going to let us get away with it. You know, sometimes we have plucked our parents' nerves so, and we know we had something coming, and sometimes they'll tell you, I know I was told, get out of my sight right now. Because they know, you know, sometimes, and you know yourself as parents that got kids, sometimes they have upset you, so you just say, listen, go to your room. That's what you say. Most of you say, go to your room. Because you know if you get a hold of them, it ain't going to be pretty. And you don't want to kill him, but you want to send him a message. It's the same way. He's that way with us. And he said, so I went and I hid it in Parah, which is Euphrates, as Yah had ordered me. A long time afterwards. A long time afterwards. A long time. See, here's another thing. Service to the Most High is not a microwave. See, the system got us thinking, okay, do this this day, do this, do this, do this. I'm not breaking my schedule. Well, the people in California, and I'm not making light of that, but their schedules have totally been wiped out. See, our lives can be disrupted quickly and quicker when we're not obeying. Quickly when we've lifted up our own idols. When our idols mean more to us than him. And your idol can be anything and anybody. A long time afterwards, Yah said to me, get up, go to Parah, and recover the loincloth I ordered you to hide there. Now again, Yah told him what to do. He went and did it. See, it appears that the prophets that he approached, and he may have approached others, and some might have said, I don't want to do that. I saw what happened to so-and-so, and so. Oh, no. May have, I don't know. I don't have chapter and verse. But those that said, yes, okay, Father, I'll do it. When he said something, they did it. Jonah. Jonah was like, man, I didn't know, sir. Man, the last time I said something, Father, 2 dudes hit me in my mouth. I ain't saying that no more. See, a lot of us sometimes, yeah, well, as the Christianity says, proclaim the gospel. Yeah, some of us will proclaim the gospel until somebody cuss you out. Now you're mad. Or you scared. Or you're really silly like me, now you're ready to fight. And you don't want to do that. What I'm saying is sometimes even in doing the things that he told you to do, there's going to be opposition. And we keep thinking because of the way we were taught, and when you give your heart to the Lord, everything going to be all right, and it's going to be cake and ice cream every day. It's not. And I wish we could get out of that type of thinking that's heaven. That's not. That's not real. It's fake. So I went to Perah and dug up the loincloth. But when I took it from the place where I had hidden it, I saw that it was ruined and useless for anything. And see, sometimes he speaks to us, and then well, wait a minute now. I'm so-and-so and so-and-so, and the people think I'm a big muckety-muck. Surely, God, you didn't say that to me. Remember that guy that had well, I'll call it a modern-day STD, and the prophet told him, man, go in the river and dunk yourself 3 times or something. Because he was a king, or whatever, or Pharaoh, because he had some authority, he was like, surely, something so simple. In other words, he's saying, it's got to be more to it than that. And again, when he speaks, just obey. When he speaks, just obey. Do it, and do it his way. Even if it doesn't make sense to you. Are you on his counsel? Well, see, Father, I want a seat at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I've done well here. Man, sit your silly self down. Stop thinking like that. That's what society would have you think about yourself. Do what he say, do it his way. It's not always going to make sense to you. And guess what? We may not want to do it. He said, so I went to Perah and dug up the loincloth. But when I took it out from the place where I hid it, I saw it was ruined and useless for anything. Then the word of Yah came to me. Here is what Yah says. This is how I will ruin what makes Judah so proud and Jerusalem so very proud. So here we go again. All the high-minded, high muckety-mucks. Most of us that's gone to any kind of church, most of us know God resists the proud. Yes, he does. And, they use the word resist. It's really more like a stiff arm. It's like, Barry, get out of here. Get out of my presence. Your pride is a stench before me. See, but most of us don't see pride that way. What are you talking about, man? I got on a $1,500 suit, and I came in a Maserati, and I live on Sugar Hill, and I'm somebody. And you're up to your neck in debt. And you can't miss one paycheck, let alone 2 years. Folks, don't be fooled by the foolishness of man. Don't buy the stuff that they're selling. It's not worth nothing. Aren't you tired of them rubber chicken dinners? And them little cheap plaques? Wake up and do more than just smell the coffee. This is how I will ruin what makes Judah so proud and Jerusalem so very proud. I will ruin this evil people who refuse to hear my words and live according to their own stubborn inclinations. Well, wait a minute, Father. I'm a prominent member in society. Bury that attitude. Bury that attitude. Bury that attitude. It's going to turn on you. I will ruin this evil people who refuse to hear my words and live according to their own stubborn inclinations, who go after other gods to serve and worship them. And here, when they say other small g gods, that's idols. That's another thing for idols. They will be like this loincloth, which is useless for anything. For just as a loincloth clings to a man's body, I made the whole house of Israel and the whole house of Judah cling to me, says Yah. And see, listen, when you think about it, listen, even in our situation, think about it. Just think about it. How would you feel if somebody you gave your all for decided I'm going to do things my way? And we fool ourselves by standing up and saying, I owe it all to the Lord. And sometimes when I used to hear that, I said, Father, please, just come down and say, okay, you really feel that way? Then give your stuff to that guy over there who ain't got nothing. I wonder how many people would do that. I wonder how many prominent people would really do that. But they're quick to say, oh, I owe it all to you. And it talks in Jeremiah about praising him with your mouth, but your heart is far from it. See, and again, I'm not saying every athlete, but athletes. Well, I got the most valuable, and they give, and they start out with the customary thing. You'll find out what they really think about themselves when they go in to renegotiate their contract. Because why? All of them want the max. That's capitalism. The guy that kept talking about, he had a lot of stuff. And he says, he looked over and his neighbor didn't have as much. And his vineyard or whatever was overgrown. And he says, I think I'm going to build me a bigger barn. And all of a sudden a voice came out and said, you fool, tonight your soul is required. Here you talking about building a bigger barn. Because see, he was saying also, if I want it, I'll do it. Folks, I'm telling you, these type of thoughts creep into our consciousness, and it doesn't help that we got people steadily feeding us this garbage day in, day out. And it's taken us away from accurately hearing the instruction. Because what happens is we start saying, I've gotten this by my own hand. And the Most High is saying, Barry, you a liar. I don't want to have to start all over again. Once was enough for me. It's better to do what he say, do it his way. I'm going to read a little further. I made the whole house of Israel and the whole house of Judah cling to me, says Yah, so that they could be my people, so that they could be my people, building me a name and becoming for me a source of praise and honor. See, and you've heard me say in times past, and it is true, it's more to this than just being good little boys and good little girls. That is so elementary. Some of us old as dirt, and we still got that premise in our mind. He wants honor. He wants praise. Not drawing attention to yourself, but truly stating for real, hey, it is he that has made me this. Not who I got a relationship with or who I have done business with. See, all of that stuff, man, it's got some of us twisted up, and some of us, we don't even know it. I made the whole house of Israel and the whole house of Judah cling to me, says Yah, so that they could be my people, building me a name and becoming for me a source of praise and honor. And then listen to what he says. But they wouldn't listen. So you are to tell them, Jeremiah, that this is what Yah, the God of Israel, says. Every bottle is filled with wine. Then when they ask you, don't we already know that every bottle is filled with wine? And see, what that's also saying is, see, a lot of people like to always quote scripture. And they try to justify whatever it is they are doing or not doing because they can quote scripture. But I have to ask you again, are you merely just quoting scripture? Do you really understand and comprehend what you're saying? Or are you just doing something you saw somebody on the internet do and say? Or because you like this person's whatever, and well, if they doing it that way, we ought to do it that way. Uniformity. You know, and it's really sad when countries over in Africa and even in what we call the Middle East, have you all ever looked at some of their, what they call services? It looked like something over here. When we should have been borrowing from them. Look over in some of the African nations and look at some of those. It looked like stuff that I don't even want to say because I ain't trying to get canceled. Is what it? Yeah, that's another whole thing. But uniformity is not our friend. Now, there are a lot of people that disagree. Uniformity comes out of these vain philosophies that people are espousing. Folks, we got to wake up. We got to wake up, because if we don't want more of what's coming down the pipe, the best way, what can we do? What can we do? Get our minds right. Get our minds right. And really, and have an honest conversation with yourself about yourself. Stop telling yourself. Now, it's nothing, listen, there's nothing wrong with having aspirations. Nothing wrong with having goals. Nothing, I'm not poo-pooing that. But folks, he wants his children to live a life that not by what they say, but by how they live. That's giving him honor. That's giving him praise. We're putting together my 50 years since I've been out of high school. 50 years. And a bunch of us darkies are going to be, we're going to do the school is going to have a thing, because we all got that thing, and I said, well, let me send these knuckleheads. I sent them a check. I'm going to go to that. But I said, I want to get with some of my people, but we're contacting, I'm on the committee, and we're contacting different people. And I've talked to people that I haven't seen them since, remember how you take that tassel and flip it or whatever to the other side, for high school, you act. I haven't seen some of them then, but I got to talking with somebody, and the conversation started at 2 in the evening. And I got off. Now, they had to get off because they were doing some business too. So they had to get off about 3 times. But they called me back. By the time we hung up, because I was like, look, I got to go to church in the morning. Well, I had to go to the bar first. Y'all know that. I had to go to the club, clean that up. But I said, I got to get, it was after 12. And we were just sharing things, because life, some of you are close to my age anyway. Life is so different now than when we were teenagers. Now, all of us can at least say, except for, I see some of the young people in here. But when we were teenagers, it's different now. It's so different now. And and I said, well, I'm gonna. It was only 45 of people that looked like me in my class, and the rest looked like somebody else. Which that's fine, but I'm just saying that. Now, of course, Hermitage is all, I think, me now. But back when I was going there, it was 45 in my class, and the rest was somebody else. But I want the 45 to get together, and I told him I want to host something at my home, and because I'm sure all of us have had loss. See, I'm thinking 50 years. That's a long time, folks. And from a Hebraic standpoint, did you know that at the age of 50, that's when the Most High considers you mature enough to give advice? How many of us have given some advice in our 20s, 30s? Some of us was giving advice probably in our teens. 50 years. According to the way the Most High see it. Now, society, oh, well, what are you talking about? After you come out of university, man, I'm going to get on that later, but that's for another time. All right, and y'all know me. I'm not going to use that opportunity. I ain't going to be trying to have no church. I'm not. And don't, again, when I use church, I'm not talking about y'all. Because for me, that's two different things. But that's not what the system teaches. The system got you thinking, when you say church, you thinking God. But and some of us have gone on already. But folks, life is precious. Life is precious. And I'm telling you, maybe you weren't the best of friends back then, but if you get an opportunity and you run across somebody, take a few minutes. Let me tell you, I'm being honest again, I'm being transparent. You ain't that busy. I mean, flat being honest. Don't know your situation, don't want to know your situation. Again, you ain't that busy. Folks, we got to start making time for people. See, I understand that prayer was wonderful, and I wish I wanted to get here. And that's wonderful. Start making time for people. Do a little work one-on-one. And now, really, the field is right because a lot of folks they having a hard time, so they think. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to show who he is in your life. And I'm not talking about churching somebody. Give them you. Give them the you that he made, not the you that society helped mold. And if you're real smart, you'll take a lot of that stuff that you developed in society and you'll sweep it on out. And that'll equip you to be of help to somebody. For real. Because see, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And then some of the stuff that's coming down the pipe, he may sweep some of that away. But some of the stuff that we think is being taken away is for our own good. And a lot of stuff really wasn't for us. That's another story too. 1 minute. He says, for just as the loincloth clings to a man's body, I made the whole house of Israel and the whole house of Judah cling to me, so that they could be my people, building me a name and becoming for me a source of praise and honor. I want to stop there. Because, a lot of us are saying, well, what do I do? What do I do, Father? What do I do? What do I do? Let's live a life that brings him praise and honor. Yes, praise and worship, what we call praise and worship, that's good. But praise and worship, true praise is how you live in your life when you're not in here. Are you living a life that you live in such a way you can be of assistance to somebody? And it may be somebody that you don't necessarily hang out with. See, when we can start seeing people past what they wearing, what organization or whatever they belong to, what church they go to, if they go to church or not. Even people that don't go to church, they need help too. We have an opportunity to curb some of the stuff that's coming our way that we may find unpleasant. But it's not so much by what we do in here. It's by what we individuals do out there. I'm going to close. I've got to check on one of my neighbors. I saw a U-Haul truck